What's up, everyone? Good morning and welcome to our Water's Edge online Sunday morning worship experience. Once again, thank you so very much for tuning in and hanging out with us today. For those of you that continue to invite people to our live and in-person services every Sunday at 9:30 and 11:15, or for those of you that continue to like and share our online worship experiences every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock with your circle of influence, thank you so very much for doing that. Continue to do that. We have people showing up, new people every single week, and people tuning in from all over the place, getting help with their heart and their life and their faith and their circumstances and their personal storms and their walk with God. Also, for those of you that continue to worship with us online through a very sacred and beautiful and holy way to worship, and that's through giving and generosity. I tell you this all the time, but it's so very important. John 3:16 says this, and we all know this verse, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son," which teaches us this: when you love, you give. When you love the people in your life, you give to them. You give your heart, you give your time, you give your love. But also when we love God, and when we love God's church, and when we love God's mission for His church, for our community, then we want to give back, and that's an act of worship, maybe by meeting our new $10 challenge. So for those of you that love what we do here and you give as an act of worship, thank you so very much for doing that. Continue to do that. You're allowing us to help more people, love more people, feed more people, serve more people, shelter more people, help more people with the love of God, and show our city and our community the body of Christ and the compassion of Jesus Christ. Thank you so very much for doing that. All right, it's summertime. It's hot outside, and today we continue with our current series entitled Heatwave, so welcome to week 4. I was in high school in the early 90s. I graduated from South Beauregard in 1994, but I lived in DeQuincy because that's where my dad pastored, and that's where we had our house, and that's where we lived. And so back then, there wasn't much to do in those small towns, but we had something that we would like to do every single weekend and during the summer, pretty much every single night, and it was called making passes. And this is what we would do. We would make passes in our cars or trucks, in our vehicles, through the town of DeQuincy, and we would pull people over that we saw, our friends that we wanted to hang out with, and we'd go hang out in parking lots, or we'd go eat at Dairy Queen, or we'd end up at somebody's house shooting pool or something like that. But for hours and hours and hours, we would make passes. We would make circles through town. We would start at a gas station called Tigerland, and we would drive all the way through town, and we would turn around at the car wash at the under end of town and drive all the way back through town, and we would just keep making circles, listening to music, hanging out, picking people up, riding around with them, hanging out in parking lots. That's just what we did back in the 90s. And I remember one night, one of my friends hopped in with me, and we were making passes, just me and a couple of friends, and one of my friends said, "Hey man, I've been trying to get a hold of my girlfriend all day, and I haven't been to get a hold of her. She don't answer the phone, her parents aren't home." That was back before cell phones. We did have beepers, but you had to be a high roller to have a pager. And so most of the time, we just had to call people's houses, and if they were there, they answered, and if they weren't, then we would try to go find them. And so this is what he said. He said, "I haven't talked to her all day. I can't get a hold of her. Can we go find her?" And I said, "Sure. Where is she? Where is she?" And he said, "She's staying at some of her friend's house out near Ragley." And he said, "Let's go out there." And I said, "Cool, do you know where the house is?" He goes, "I don't know where the house is, but I think I know where the road is. And if we can find the road, then I think I can find the house." And so, man, we head out from DeQuincy and we start driving, and it's probably about 11 o'clock at night. We start driving out towards Ragley, and we find this old, dark country road. It doesn't even have a road sign on it in between DeQuincy and Ragley, way out there in the woods. He goes, "Turn here, this is the road." And so, man, we turned down that road, and honestly, it looked more like a trail. And we were driving down that road, that trail. It seemed like forever. And then we get to another little turn off, another little road, and he goes, "Turn here." And so we turn there, and again, that road doesn't even seem like a road. It seems pretty much like a trail. And we drive down that little road trail for it seems like forever. And then we get to another little road, another little turn off. He goes, "I think this is the driveway. Turn here." And man, so we turned there, and I tell him, I said, man, this don't look like a driveway. This looks like a trail. And he says, man, I think this is it. And so we go all the way down that trail, all the way down that little driveway, all the way down that little dirt road, and there's nothing there. And this is what he says. He says, man, I'm sorry. I think I told you to turn down the wrong road. And I said, wrong road? How about the wrong trail? And then I said, no more. No more country roads. I'm turning around. I'm ready to go home. I want to get out of here. So that's what we do. We head back. And I would like to say that that was the end of the story, but that wasn't really the end of the story. We start to head back to town from that trail, and it's pitch black. And about halfway down the trail, another one of my friends says, hey, what's that? And I said, what? He said, what's that? And I said, what? He goes, it's coming straight for us. And I said, what are you talking about? And about that time, a huge owl flew straight into my windshield and busted it up pretty good. I didn't even see it coming. It was so dark outside. My friend saw it, and it flew straight into my windshield. Needless to say, after that, I was ready to go home. When you're driving, but you don't have a destination, or you don't know where your destination is, eventually you just start wasting time. And that's what I felt like that night. We were driving and driving and driving. I didn't know where the destination was, and my friend didn't even know where the destination was. And because of that, we just kept driving around, and it felt like we were just wasting time. Now, I do think it'd be cool to take a road trip vacation one day, Thelma and Louise style, except we don't drive off the end of a cliff one day. I do think that would be fun just to take off driving and take a road trip vacation. But most of the time when I get in my truck and drive, I don't want to waste my time. When I get in my truck and drive, I don't even want to kill time. When I drive, I want to know my destination. When I drive, I want to know where I'm going and the best way to get there. When I drive, I want to have the easiest directions, not the most difficult directions. And when I drive, I want to find the right road so I can avoid owls flying into my windshield. And I could say the same thing about my life. I don't want to waste my life. I don't want to live for nothing. I don't want to live aimless, and I don't want to live with no purpose, and I don't want to live with no direction, and I don't want to live with no wisdom and no guidance. I don't want to live lazy, careless, aimless, with no purpose and no direction. I want to live my life with vision, because a vision gives me a destination and a goal, and a destination gives me focus and direction, and a direction gives me purpose. Let me say that again. A vision gives me a destination and a goal. And a destination and a goal gives me focus and direction gives me purpose. And purpose will make sure that I'm not wasting my life. But in order for me not to waste my life, I have to live my life with faith and vision. In Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5, Solomon says this about purpose and about personal vision. Notice this today. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. Though good advice lies deep within the heart, a person with understanding will draw it out. On the inside of you, God has put wisdom in your heart. On the inside of you, God has put conviction in your heart. He's put vision in your heart. He's put direction and faith and purpose and hope in your heart. But we must get to a place in our life where we draw it out and we act on it and we live out that vision for our life and we live out that direction for our life and we live out that purpose for our life. This is why I think it's so important for you and I to have a personal vision statement for our life. And many times that personal vision statement can change, but one of the crucial things about having a personal vision statement for your life is it helps you stay focused. It helps you stay focused with direction and purpose and significance. And this has been my personal vision statement for a long, long time. I want to share mine with you today. And this is what it is. And notice this. It's to leave behind a legacy of love and personal growth. That's been my vision statement personally for a long time, to leave behind a legacy of love and personal growth. And this has been my personal vision statement for years, but this statement helps me keep my eyes on the road instead of living my life with no focus and wasting my life with no purpose and no significance and no direction. God has put dreams and goals and a vision inside of my heart and inside of all all of us, and I want to accomplish them by taking risk, by being self-disciplined, by working hard, and by always learning and digging and growing personally, but also leaving behind a legacy of love. As I live this life, when I come in contact with people, when I live this life walking through this world, I want to leave behind a feeling and a legacy and a story and a testimony of love and the love of God. When people get around me, I want them to feel loved. I don't want them to feel rejected. When people get around me, I want them to feel the love of God. I don't want them to be devastated by their storms or by their personal loneliness or by their struggles or by their giants. I want them to know when they get around me, I want them to know that they can do this. When they get around me, I want them to know that God loves them. When they get around me, I want them to know that nothing can separate us from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus. I want to leave behind a legacy of love. I want to instill that into my son. I want to instill that into my family. I want to instill that into my friends. I want to instill that into the people that are around me, to leave behind a legacy of the love of Jesus. And we do this by having a personal vision. Now, let me tell you why this is so helpful. The first thing is this, and notice this today. A vision gives you a destination. What do you want your life to look like next year? Seriously. What do you want your faith to look like next year? What do you want your heart and your emotions and your mind to look like next year? What do you want the health of your faith and the health of your life to look like in 1 year, 2 years, in 5 years? What about your freedom? What about your future? None of this happens by accident. A vision will give you something to work towards. A vision will give you something to dream about. A vision will give you something to help you plan. A vision will give you a destination in life. This is what I want my faith to look like, and so I go in that direction. This is what I want my future to look like, and so I go in that direction. This is what I want my mental health to look like. This is what I want my emotional health to look like. This is what I want my relationships to look like, and so I go in that direction. This is what I want my walk with God to look like, and so I go in that direction. The second thing is this: a destination gives you direction. If you don't know where your life is heading, and if you don't have a picture and a vision of what you want your faith and your life and your future to look like, then you don't know what your destination is. And so a vision gives you a destination. It gives you a picture in your mind and in your heart of where your life is going and where you want your life to go. A destination helps you stay on the right road in life that will ultimately get you to the right destination. The wrong road will never accidentally end up in the right place, and the right road will never accidentally take you to the wrong place. And so a vision gives you a destination, and that destination helps you stay focused on the pathways that you need to stay on in life to get you to those destinations. Number 3, direction gives you purpose. When you know, this is my vision, this is my destination, this is what I want my life to look like, this is what I want my faith to look like, this is what I want my heart to look like, this is what I want my future to look like, this is what I want my walk with God to look like, this is my vision, this is my destination, then that gives you direction, which means now you can figure out what pathways that you need to take in order to take you to your destination. Staying on that path gives you focus. Staying on that path gives you goals. Staying on that path gives you significance. And staying on the right pathway gives you a reason to wake up and live, because you know it can't hurt you at all. I'm on this pathway that's going to take me to a peaceful destination for my mind. I'm on this pathway that's going to take me to a peaceful destination for my heart, for my mental health, for my emotional health. I'm on this pathway that's going to make my personal growth and my faith stronger and stronger and stronger. And so I need to stay on this road because it's going to take me to the right destination. So a vision gives you a destination gives you direction, and direction gives you a purpose. And all of us in here today who are listening to this crave crave that. We all long for that. We all crave purpose and long for purpose. We all want a reason to wake up and live. Now, as a church, we also have a vision. If a church is going to make a difference in their cities and in their community and in the lives of people, then that church needs direction and purpose. That church needs a heartbeat. That church needs a vision and a mission. And if a part of your personal vision in your life, if your personal passion in this life is to serve God and to love people and to make a difference, serve God, love people, and to make a difference, then what our vision is we want to come alongside of you and help you accomplish that in your personal vision. If your personal vision is to make a difference and to love God and to love people, then our vision as a church is to give you the strength and the faith to do that. Now, our church's vision is to creatively tear down walls between God and people who feel far away from God. We want to create a home for people who don't fit in at other churches. We want to create a home for people who've been hurt by religion, who've been hurt by other churches, who feel like they've been kicked out of other churches, who feel like they don't have a place in other churches. This is a church for the rest of us where we can come and connect with Jesus. And a major part of that is our worship experience. And let me explain to you what we're trying to accomplish in our Sunday morning worship experiences. Every week there are people who show up here who are confused about life, they're hurting, and they're confused about Jesus. Every single week there are people that show up and they're experiencing heartache and pain and loneliness and tragedy. Every single week we have people that tune in or show up and they haven't been to church in years and they don't know very much about God and they don't know very much about the faith and they don't know very much about church or about Jesus, and they need help and they need love and they need grace and they need mercy and they need guidance and they need wisdom and they need acceptance. And then we have a lot of people who also show up every single week who love God and know God and they have faith and they're walking with God and they want to get plugged in and make a difference. And so on a Sunday morning specifically in our worship experiences, this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is a part of our worship vision, number one. And notice this today. If you're still with me, say I'm still with you. We want to create an environment of acceptance. When people walk through our doors, we want them to feel wanted and accepted and loved. People face enough rejection in the world every single day. People face enough judgment from churches in their past. We do not want anyone to feel that way here. Here, we want people to feel accepted no matter what. Number two, we want to create a welcoming environment. When people walk through our parking lot and walk through our doors, they have fears and questions and doubts and pain, and we want to ease that anxiety and we want to ease that struggle of coming to church by making everyone feel loved and making everyone feel welcomed no matter what. It's hard for people to connect with God if they don't feel loved and welcomed by the people of God. It's hard for hurting people to connect with God if they don't feel loved and welcomed by the people of God. And so we want this house to be a house of love and acceptance that makes people feel welcomed. Number three, we want to create an environment that deals with real life. The reason why we do series about relationship pain or fears or depression or sadness or happiness or vision or spiritual growth or how to deal with scars from your past or our identity is because we don't want to just teach you the Bible. We want to teach you how to live the Bible in real life. People tell me all the time, Pastor Tony, it seems like you were reading my mail. It seems like you were talking directly to me. And the reason why it feels that way is because when I prepare my messages, I always focus on what I'm struggling with as a real person, what I'm dealing with as a real person, what I'm confused about as a real person, what a real person faces when they face storms and battles and giants. I try to figure out real life, and then we try to teach people how to live the Bible. We don't want to just teach the Bible to you on Sundays when you walk out of here. We want to teach you how to live it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Since you face real life issues every single day, then the church needs to be a real life issue church, and we need to teach about real life issues and how to live the Bible, as we deal and face with those real life issues. And then number 4, we want to create a moving environment. We want our love to be moving and engaging. We want our worship to be moving and engaging. We want our teachings to be moving and engaging. We want our atmosphere to be moving and engaging. We want you to feel it. We want you to be inspired. We want you to be encouraged. We want you to experience hope. We want you to experience grace. We want you to experience second chances. We want you to experience the feeling and the joy and the love of forgiveness and standing back up again. We want you to feel moved when you come here. But most of all, we want you to feel moved enough that you connect with God in a personal way and it sets your heart on fire. That's what we want. We want you to feel moved enough to where you connect with Jesus in a personal way. Our vision for our worship is to help you connect with God in your personal life with a passion like a heat wave, to help you connect with God in your heart and in your emotions with a passion like a heat wave, to help you connect with God in your feelings, in your mind, and in your soul with passion like a heat wave. Because this is what happens when you worship Jesus, and this is what happens when you walk with Jesus. He sets your soul on fire. For love and for other people, He sets your soul on fire like a heat wave. For the wounded and for worship and for revival, He sets your soul on fire like a heat wave. And for our city and for our community and for following Jesus, He sets your soul on fire like a heat wave. And so I don't know about you, but all of that provokes me to worship Him. We hope that you enjoyed this today. We have a vision for you. We want you to have a vision for your life, and our church has a vision for you, and our church has a vision for this city. So let's come together as troops, as a team, people that love each other and people that love God, and let's go make a difference in our community and in the lives of hurting people. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us. Now continue to stay tuned in for an amazing time of worship with the amazing Water's Edge worship team. We cannot wait to see you back next week, and we love you all.